Hello, I'm Caterina Ferrara, travel author, travel blogger, and passionate explorer of all things Italy. Welcome to Immersion Travel. In today's episode, we're going to talk about Carnival or Carnevale, which is the period before Lent. And Lent is the period before Easter. It's the 40 days before Easter. The idea of Lent, this fasting period for 40 days before Easter, started after the Council of Trent in 325 AD. And after the Council of Trent, it was discussed that there should be a period of fasting, one meal a day, no meat during this period also. In some cases, no fish, no eggs, no cheese, depending on the years. It certainly evolved, and during the Middle Ages, things changed, and even into the 20th century, some of the fasting rules changed and the rules around Lent changed. Sometimes I hear that if you're over 70, you don't have to do the fasting during Lent, or if you're under 12, you don't have to give up meat, things like this. But the idea has been around for a long time. And so as with Lent, so has the tradition of Carnival. And Carnival, or Carnevale, which is actually the Latin term that evolved into carnival in the English language, means to give up meat. Carne is meat, also in Italian. So to give up meat, carne lavare, to give up meat, is where the word carnival comes from. And carnival is the period sometimes of overdoing things before the Lenten fast starts on Ash Wednesday. So Carnival is a very big deal in Italy, but I don't want you to think that Carnival is just what you see in Venice. And I'm sure you've all seen the grand costumes and the masks and people around Venice doing their photos, their Instagram photos, and beautiful medieval dress. There is a lot more to Carnival in Italy than just what you see in Venice. That Venice celebration did start in the 1100s, so you have to give it some credit. And it actually started as a celebration for a Venetian victory. The Venetians were, of course, an empire of seafarers, and the Venetian Empire stretched all the way around the sea, all the way to where you see Croatia, now Slovenia. That was all part of the Venetian Empire. And in order to celebrate a big victory, they had their first carnival. And that was part of a tradition that became bigger and bigger, and even during the 18th and 19th centuries continued to grow. And the date of Easter every year is based on the lunar calendar. So generally, Carnevale is going to be in February because you've got, maybe Ash Wednesday happening in March. Sometimes you've got Easter even happening in March. So January, February, depending on the year when Carnevale will start. Now, some cities, the Carnevale lasts several weeks. So I know we've talked about Venice. I also want to talk about Putignano, which has a very historic carnival that started in the 1300s. And their carnival has evolved to where they have these incredible, absolutely incredible floats. Every year they're different. Every year they make them from scratch. They move, they've got motion, they're gigantic. And it's more than just these floats that come through town. They've also got lights and illuminations all over town. It's an absolutely incredible way to spend your Carnevale. And of course, it's probably warmer in the south. Puglia is in the heel of the boot, and so it's most likely warmer than the weather you're going to get for Carnevale in Venice. There are other important Carnevales, and one of them is in Ronciglione, which is in the Rome Festival and Travel Guide that's available on Amazon. And that festival has also a long history and has some traditions, interesting traditions. One of them is a riderless horse race through the town. And they have horses that are trained for this riderless horse race, and they work their way through town. And then they also have different races in town, and it's a very good way to spend your Carnevale. The Ronciglione festival is closest to Rome. It's in Lazio. And so you can certainly fly into Rome if you want to do that one. But there are many different celebrations in Italy for Carnival. And so I want to mention some of those throughout Italy. So there's one very famous one. It's in Via Reggio in Tuscany. And they have giant papier-mâché floats like the ones you're going to find in Putignano that are as high as 20 meters. So they're huge floats. And like I said, they're recreating them every year, and you only see them for the weekends before Carnevale. So like in Putignano, For 4 weeks before Ash Wednesday, they have the floats on parade, sometimes on Saturday, sometimes on Sunday, sometimes during the day, and sometimes at night. But they've got a very famous Carnevale in Viareggio. And of course, everyone claims to be the original Carnevale and the original parade floats. There's also one in Sicily, in Acireale, and they're known for their floral floats. So they spend time building their carri infuriati, and they are decorated with thousands of fresh flowers. And so each year, obviously, when you have fresh flowers involved, the floats are only available for those few weeks. And they have some of the papier-mâché floats as well. And they have a great celebration in Sicily, which once again might be a little bit warmer than in the north of Italy. Also in Fano in Le Marche, and the Marche, if you look at the Italian map, is sort of, if you're in Tuscany and Lazio, those areas, and on the right-hand side of the map is Le Marche. And there they have a famous, in Fano, they have a famous tradition of being the oldest Carnivale in Italy dating back to the 1300s. But as I mentioned, you've got the one in Putignano that's also from the 1300s, and the first one in Venice in 1100. They have a great tradition where sweets and chocolates are thrown from the floats in Le Marche. So obviously that's something you can do during Carnevale that you couldn't do in the summer because things would melt. In Piemonte, which is where Torino is, so in the north of Italy, in Ivrea, they have a famous battle that is the Battle of the Oranges, where citrus fruits that are symbolizing the resistance against tyranny. It could be the French that they were resisting, since it is the north in Piemonte. But they have a battle of the oranges, and every year, thousands of oranges are used in the battle. And if you've ever seen that, it's very interesting. And you think, oh, what a tremendous waste of food, of fruit. And yeah, with thousands and thousands of oranges. So you can certainly search for that. And I'll try and post pictures of all of these festivals on my Instagram, as I always do. So if you look for @CaterinaFerrara author on Instagram, you can scroll through and find some of these festivals. Right now I'm posting a lot about St. Agatha and Catania because that's happening. Okay, in Cento, in Emilia-Romagna. And Emilia-Romagna is where Bologna is, and it's sort of in the north. Bologna is obviously a major train station and point in Italy. In Cento, they are known for having the twin Carnevale of Rio de Janeiro. So they have partnered with the sister city of Rio de Janeiro, which is obviously known for its exceptional Carnevale. And each year they do Brazilian-style samba parades there in Cento, with enormous floats, again, gifts being thrown off of them, chocolates, and that's in the region of Emilia-Romagna in the north. Also, I've got 2 cities in Sardinia, which Sardinia is the island. Sicily is the island that's off the toe of the boot of Italy, a bigger island. Sardinia is north. It's right under Corsica, which is an island of France. And Sardinia has two different cities that have carnival traditions. One of them in Mammodia in Sardinia, where men dress in dark, heavy masks and they have bells. And this tradition, they believe, is rooted in some of the more ancient pagan rituals there in Sardinia. And then Oristano has a medieval carnival with masked knights on horseback and tournaments, different medieval type tournaments, everybody in medieval dress. Also in Termoli. So Termoli is, if you're in Rome and you go straight to the right on the map, Molise is there, right under Abruzzo. And in Termoli, which is a pretty major city with a good train connection in it, they are famous for their carnival floats that are sea-themed. They also have traditional music from the region, and they do a lot of historical reenactments, parades, their bands, the drums, etc. So definitely you could choose any of these towns. In Calabria, which is in the south, they have one of the oldest carnivals in southern Italy, along with Putignano, which is on the eastern side. On the western side is Calabria. In Castrovigliari in Calabria, they have a festival that blends folk traditions along with masked parades. And my 10th option for another Carnevale that's quite famous is in Le Marche, in the Marche again. on the east coast of Italy, and they're famous for the Carnival of the Devil, which features different demonic masks and ancient folklore themes. They have fire shows, masked performances, and eerie parades. So depending on what kind of a Carnivale you want to see, you don't have to just go to Venice. There is so much more you can see in Italy. And I really encourage you to, if you're going to be there during that period, to venture out and see some of the Carnival festivities in other towns. If you go into Emilia-Romagna, that's not going to be far from Venice. So maybe you could do 2 different types of carnival. I certainly think that, like I said, the South is going to be a little bit warmer during Carnevale. And so I want to encourage you, if you're interested in getting to some of the carnivals, to look into my ultimate festival and travel guides on Amazon. And depending on the region you're going to, I will have a travel guide there for you and help you find a carnival. In each of my books, I wrap up the books. The books are in order by date. So I wrap up all the books with a carnival celebration or 2 or 3. And then I also end each book with Easter and that Holy Week celebration. So each town in Italy obviously celebrates these things. And I conclude each of the books with those celebrations. So I hope you'll join me in visiting Italy for Carnevale this year. And choose a fantastic town. And if not, then certainly follow me on Instagram. And from there, you can see some of the amazing traditions, amazing floats, beautiful costumes, and just all of the celebrations in Italy during Carnevale. Thanks for joining me on this small tour of all things Italian. And I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day.